My God, I hate drugs.
The Pentagon issues another warning to China against militarizing islands in the South China Sea. Lieutenant General Kenneth McKenzie says the American military has had a lot of experience in the Western Pacific taking down small islands. He made the comment when asked by a reporter about the ability of the U.S. to blow apart one of China's controversial man-made islands. In the past week, the U.S. Navy sailed 2 warships within 12 nautical miles of the disputed Paracel Islands. At her regular press conference on Thursday, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Hua Chunying said the U.S. accusing China of militarizing the region was, quote, like a thief crying, "Stop thief." Pope Francis is sending investigators back to Chile to look into accusations of child abuse and a cover-up. Chilean priest Father Fernando Caradima was found guilty of child sex abuse by the Vatican in 2011. Victims said Osorno Bishop Juan Barros covered up Caradima's crimes, but Barros denied knowing about the abuses. The Vatican said the Pope will send a personally written letter to the Chilean church. He will also meet with the Chilean abuse victims in Rome over the weekend. Pope Francis says the church should be ashamed of its treatment of victims. And one of Thailand's tourism hotspots, the Maya Bay, is closing for 4 months, starting today until September 30. This is part of a rejuvenation program. Thailand's tourism authority says boats will not be allowed to enter the bay during the closure. Travelers can instead see the bay between the 2 cliffs that form a natural entrance to the lagoon. But this will be under strict government supervision. Maya Bay was made famous by the movie The Beach, starring Leonardo DiCaprio. The world's best airport is getting even better. Singapore's Changi Airport has been ahead of the competition for years, and it's planning to stay that way for as long as possible. Solicitor General Jose Calida finds himself in another controversy amid issues on the more than 261 million pesos worth of contracts between Calida's security agency and government agencies. His office now defending itself after a commission and audit report showed that some of its officials, including Calida, received excessive honoraria and allowances in 2017, amounting to over 10.77 million pesos. Based on the report, COA says Calida and 14 of his subordinates received allowances more than the allowed 50% of their annual salary. COA says out of that 10.77 million pesos in excess allowances, Calida received 7.46 million pesos. That's 8 times more than allowed. Aside from this, COA says some OSG personnel had excessive claims on hotel accommodations and expenses for their local and foreign travels. But in a statement, the Office of the Solicitor General, or OSG, says the COA report has no basis. The office cites provisions authorizing its lawyers, quote, to receive allowances for the legal services they render without qualification as to the number of agreements with client agencies and without limitation or cap as to the amount. The office also points out that COA based its report on an administrative circular limiting the allowances to 50% of an OSG lawyer's salary. But the OSG emphasizes a circular cannot prevail over and cannot amend or repeal a law. For the alleged excessive claims of officials for their local and foreign travel allowances, the OSG says these are unutilized cash advances and had already been refunded upon liquidation within the first quarter of 2018. The country has a new batch of lawyers. More than 1,000 successful bar examinees took their oath today. Justices in their speeches urged them to always uphold the rule of law, but cautions on criticizing court decisions. Our justice correspondent Anjo Alimario filed this report.
The country gains more than 1,700 new lawyers who took their oath during a special en-banc session presided by Supreme Court Acting Chief Justice Antonio Carpio. There's no mention of former Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno or about her co-warranto case, but some justices remind new lawyers about humility and avoiding arrogance lest they fall. In her speech, Associate Justice Teresita Leonardo de Castro discusses the rule against discussing the merits of a pending case in public. This is a veiled reference to the decision that ousted Sereno as Chief Justice. The court ordered Sereno to explain her possible violation of the so-called sub judice rule when she discussed her quo warranto case in public. De Castro says the judiciary does not operate courts of public opinion. She says when lawyers obtain authority without real effort, they tend to be blinded by power and intoxicated by the perks and privileges attached to the position. And she warns new lawyers, those who rise too fast often fall just as quickly.
If you lose your case on the merits fair and square, own up to it. Don't blame others and don't prop up your bruised ego at the expense of your colleagues' hard-earned reputation.
Justice Hardilesa also issues the same reminder to new lawyers: never let success get into your head and don't spoil your success with arrogance.
The arrogant always fall. They always get their comeuppance.
Justice Lucas Bersamin says when unreasonable resenters and intolerant skeptics exceed boundaries of propriety, they directly threaten the courts.
I am not in the least hinting that you cannot criticize the Supreme Court or the lower courts. But we must agree at least that the right to speak in criticism cannot be unbounded.
Bersamin says when disrespect for courts and their decisions becomes rampant, lawlessness and disorder may tear the nation's moral fabric. Anjali Mario, CNN Philippines.
The Philippine Identification System Bill now just awaiting the signature of President Duterte. Once a law, all Filipinos can get a unified ID that can be used in all government and even private transactions. Now we asked you, are you in favor of the national ID system? And here are some of your answers.
Magagamit talaga natin yan kahit saan natin manadala. Tsaka parang mas maraming may tutulong na sa atin.
E di okay para hindi na maraming itatago. Isa na lang ang idadalahin mo.
Mas maganda yung isang ID na lang, lahat ng information mo nandun na, birthday, etc. So wala ka nang magiging problema sa requirements.
Okay naman yun para madaling makilala, magagamit kahit saan naman na tayo, di ba?
It's already a high time for the Philippines para magkaroon ng isang ID. Magiging mas madali yung pag-retrieve ng information sa isang tao at yung transaction din sa mga government offices.
The National Police announces a major shakeup in the assignments of 27 officers. The biggest surprise, the relief of Metro Manila Police Chief Camilo Cascolan just over a month after his appointment. George Cahiles reports.
It's business as usual in Camp Bagong Diwa in Taguig City, despite the surprise change of leadership in the Metro Manila Police. In an order effective June 1, Metro Manila Police Chief Director Camilo Cascolan will hand over the post to Calabarzon Director Chief Superintendent Guillermo Eliazar. Several officers paid their courtesies to Cascolan before he formally steps down. His wife was also present during lunch.
I recognize and appreciate all the personnel of the NCRPO for a job well done. Let's continue to serve with a smile. To all of you, maraming salamat sa inyong suporta.
The PNP leadership explains the movement in some key PNP posts is due to the retirement of some officers and based on the performance assessment of an oversight committee.
They have determined na magkaroon ng reshuffling dito sa ngayon dahil sabi naman nila para lang magkaroon ng well-rounded career pattern ng ating mga senior police officers.
In his short stint as Metro Manila Police Chief, Cascolan says he managed to ensure peace and order situation during several high-profile events like the Asian Development Bank Summit, Labor Day, and the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections. He adds the lowest crime rate in Metro Manila under the Duterte administration was recorded under his watch, which makes him wonder why he was removed from his post.
We're doing fine, we're doing good, and I still don't know why we were relieved, but as good soldiers, we will just have to follow.
Cascolan is now assigned to the Civil Security Group or CSG, an operating unit of the PNP's Directorate for Operations, a position Cascolan held before becoming Metro Manila Police Chief. But the PNP leadership denies that Cascolan was demoted, saying that there's just a need for him to be placed to a position that he is familiar with.
Hindi actually demotion yung position na pinuntahan ni General Cascolan because the position requires for a 2-star rank also. Yung kanyang designation doon was based on his competence to sa mga the civil security group being once under him when he was the director for operation.
Meantime, incoming Metro Manila Police Chief Eleazar is humbled by his new appointment and assures he will continue focusing on the anti-illegal drugs and anti-criminality campaigns.
This is indeed a challenge for me, but I'm really glad and nagpapasalamat ako siyempre sa ating Chief PNP General Oscar Albayalde for his trust and confidence, and I will do my best not to fail him.
The PNP says another round of movements may happen soon, this time among provincial directors of the PNP. George Cahiles, CNN Philippines.